I'd like you to give a huge, warm round of applause for Dominic.
Thank you, George. Morning, everybody. So yeah, thank you. After that introduction, I'm used to getting boos being an estate agent when coming on stage, but it's nice to get a round of applause for a change. I'll also apologise because I'm a little bit hoarse today, so I might have to take a few sips of water, but I'll try my best to get through this for you. So what we're here to talk about today, advanced deal negotiation. Now, I'm a buyer. I buy properties, both residential, commercial. I'm also an estate agent. Now, there's very few people who have basically been in both camps, so I'm here to tell you today about the secrets, about how to get the best deals out of estate agents, not also residential estate agents, but commercial and direct-to-vendor deals. I've done quite a bit of deals, so I'll go through that shortly. So, key point that I want to try and get across to you today, becoming a really superior negotiator is the best way to make lots and lots of money out of property. So, a bit of audience interaction. Can we name the people left to right? Start with the left.
Mike, somebody?
Oh,
Yeah.
Mike Ashley. I thought everybody knew Mike Ashley. Yeah, he's not everybody likes him. For those of you who don't know him, basically he's the chairman of Newcastle United. He owns Sports Direct, who have been in and out of the press for a variety of reasons. But basically, he's made a lot of money, mainly through his negotiations. So he's bought a lot of businesses, made some very good deals out of it. Person in the middle, everybody should know this, Gandhi. Yeah. So this is obviously not in a business or property sphere, but it just shows the power of being a good negotiator. He negotiated independence for India out of being a good negotiator. And then on the right, I thought everybody knew. Yeah, Lucas. Yeah, come on. I thought everybody knew that. Rolf might look like that now, I'm not sure. But no, it's actually George Lucas. And the reason I've put him in there is because it's not just about being a successful negotiator when you buy, it's about being a successful negotiator when you sell. George Lucas made an absolute fortune from selling the Star Wars franchise to Disney. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds he's made from pushing a good bargain, basically. So, who wants below market value deals? Who wants a 15% BMV deal? Can you raise your hands? Yeah. Not quite everybody. All right. How about 20%? Yeah. Nearly? 100%. All right. Well, 25%. Then that's got to be everybody. Yeah. All right. Well, the lesson is, you've got the power to negotiate as big a below market value deal as you want, and that's the message I want to get across today. You have the power to negotiate these discounts, and it's really all about you, not the property that you're buying, or the business you're buying, or the property you're selling, or the business you're selling. It's a system that can be learnt, and it's easy once you know the things to do, and I'll teach you more about that later. So, like I said, why it's important to master deal negotiation skills. You can make or save millions by mastering negotiation. As I said, Mike Ashley has made millions of pounds from driving a hard bargain when buying businesses and getting them at such a price that he's made millions of pounds by the time he's bought them. Same with the George Lucas story. He has sold a franchise for millions and millions of pounds, which when he started the Star Wars franchise, he wouldn't have dreamt he'd made that much. But by driving a good negotiation, he's made that sort of money by selling. So the lesson I want to get across is, in property, because we're getting back, most of the people in the room here are here for property reasons, I'm expecting. You make your money when you buy. And it's by far the easiest way to make money is by negotiating money off rather than making the money back by adding value from the work you're going to do to the property, or by saving and really driving a hard bargain on the materials you're buying, on doing a refurb or whatever. It's much easier to knock £10,000 off the asking price than it is to save £10,000 on the work or make an extra £10,000 by adding value. And once you get your head around that, this is where you want to be spending most of your efforts. And this is something that people don't talk a lot about, but it's definitely something that is true when you do bigger and more deals. More deals come your way by being a good negotiator and doing deals. If you're somebody who's involved in property and you want a groundbreaking deal, you know, a 25, 35, 45, you know, percent BMV, or, you know, with 40% GDV return in it, you're not going to get that from sitting in your bedroom and maybe putting in the odd call to an estate agent and not buying anything. It's not going to happen. Sorry, Felix, it's not going to happen. How the deals come to you is by doing deals, and you might buy a deal which is an all right deal, nothing to write home about, which you make money on, but then that deal leads you into a really good deal as a result of you buying that initial deal. Now, this has happened to us recently. We bought a commercial building, which isn't actually in this slideshow, but I'm happy to tell anybody about after the presentation. We bought a commercial building. Ground floor was retail unit. First to second floor was office space. We were buying it for the upstairs office space to convert to residential. And we paid £150,000 for it in Wakefield, which in Wakefield that's a lot of money. But it worked because for what we were doing on the top floors made the deal work. Now, it wasn't a groundbreaking deal. We made money on it and we got all our money out of it, which was the whole point of the deal. So we got 2 free apartments for the privilege of buying this and refurbing it. But it wasn't the best deal in the world. But then the value came later. So we actually ended up buying the next door building, which was considerably bigger, and doing exactly the same thing. But instead of getting 2 apartments, we got 5. And instead of paying £150,000, we paid £100,000. And the reason we got that deal is because we sold the ground floor unit of the next door building via the commercial agent who we bought it off. So we were friends with them because we bought the building off them, and then we were friends with them because we sold one of the units to them. And when the next door building, the seller decided I'm going to sell and approached the agent, guess who they came to? The people who'd bought next door and sold the thing, sold the retail unit through them. Why? Because they've got a ready-made buyer. They know you've got the ability to buy things because you've done it. And they know you keep to your word, and they know they're probably going to get some business out of it as well further down the line. So why would they pick up the phone to anybody else other than you? Now, if we hadn't bought that building, we wouldn't have got that deal. So this is a really big learning for people. Doing deals, as long as they're making money, is the way to make more deals come your way. And that deal will then lead us into other deals, I'm sure it will. So really, really good thing to take away today. So, let's talk a bit now about the mindset for a successful deal negotiation. Right, so there's a lot of myths and mistakes being taught in the industry in general, I think, anyway. And I'll go through some of those myths shortly. I'll tell you how to negotiate successful with residential estate agents. And here's a key thing: a lot of people think to talk to a residential estate agent is exactly the same way you talk to a commercial agent. Absolutely not. You talk to them completely different because they're completely different people. So I'll tell you some of the ways how you come across as credible to commercial agents as well, because we've bought lots and lots of commercial buildings. And if I'd have spoken to them in the same way I talked to a residential agent, they'd have thought I was a bit of an idiot, frankly. So there really is a difference. And then how to negotiate direct to vendor. So again, direct to vendor is completely different again. If you speak to a vendor, a direct to vendor who may be a little old woman, it might be some guy who's in the trades, let's say, and you talk to him as you would a commercial agent who might be a chartered surveyor for the last 35 years in the same sort of language, they're going to be like, why are you talking to me like this? You need to talk to the people you're dealing with in their language. So I'll teach you how you need to speak to direct to vendor deals as well. So here's some examples of some deals I've negotiated over the past few years. So it's the property on the far left. I don't know if you can see very well, but basically it's a little terrace house, but it's a bit, the photo's a bit, it doesn't really give the best example of it, because basically it goes quite deep at the back and it drops down a level as well. So it's a 3-bedroom, large terrace, but it doesn't look it. Now, it was sold, oh no, sorry, should I say, it was bought by the people we bought it off 2 years prior for £105,000. Now, it wasn't a wreck, they didn't set fire to it, they didn't trash it or anything like that, but for whatever reason, they needed to get rid of it, and then 2 years later, we managed to get it over the line for £57,000. So now, on paper, you could say that's maybe a 45% below market value deal. In reality, it's probably not quite that, but it's probably around 30%, so it's a good deal. And that's via an estate agent. And like I say, if you learn how to speak to estate agents, you can get these sort of deals. Well, that's in Wakefield as well. I don't do much outside of Wakefield, actually. Yorkshire, in general, is where I get my deals, just because I know the areas, basically. So this is a pub, again in Wakefield, because it's my patch. A big behemoth of a pub, village location, but there was more than one pub in the village. So we were interested in buying it and converting it to residential, and our plan was to convert it to flats. So this was on at £250,000, commercial agent, and we managed to negotiate £75,000 off the price just by using a little bit of language. So not hammering down the line of comparables and all this sort of thing, just talking to them in the right kind of way that eked out the bottom line that the seller could sell it for, and that bottom line was 175. So that's what we got it for. And this is the third one. This was a direct to vendor deal. This guy approached us. He had 2 properties, this being the other one, and was getting into financial difficulties and basically wanted rid of it. Now, he had it tenanted, and it was cash flowing. So on paper, there's no reason why he would sell it for a discount. But, needs must, and for whatever reason, he wanted rid of it. So that property is worth in the region of £130,000, £125 on a bad day, let's say. It was tenanted with some Polish tenants who were paying £600 per calendar month. So it cash flows. We managed to get it for £100,000 with the tenant still in situ. So on day one of us buying it, we've got a property which is 25% below market value with a tenant who's already paying you rent to cover your mortgage. Happy days. Who wants some of them? Yeah. So a bit more about me. That's my name, Dominic Woodward. I bought my first buy-to-let back in 2011. So that was my first experience of property, literally buying a little single let. So I don't know who's ever been in a job they weren't suited for or didn't like and it wasn't going anywhere. Yeah, I've seen a few people that resonates with. I graduated in 2008, heart of the financial crisis. Luckily, I managed to get a job, but it was a job in an industry which I wasn't really cut out for and the skill set wasn't matched and I basically wasn't very interested in. It was in pensions, a big company called Mercer. They administer and manage huge pension schemes globally. Although I was making okay money, nothing groundbreaking, but okay money, I wasn't happy in my job. I don't know if anybody else has that feeling where you're just on the treadmill and not getting anywhere and you can't see the prospects and all that sort of thing. Well, property became a distraction for me to take my mind off that. So in 2011, I bought a little buy-to-let using the money I was making from my day job in Wakefield. And the plan was obviously purchase it, refurb it, and then refinance, which is a model a lot of you know about and a lot of people preach, and it's a really good model. And the amount of work I put in to learn how to do that first refurb and refinance was probably in the region of about a month's solid work, reading books. My notes are about that deep. Now, for me to buy a single let, I put in maybe half an hour's work max. So it shows the value of mastering a system so you can just do things really quick and easily. Anyway, so the turning point was in 2012 when I went self-employed. The reason behind that was basically I had hit one of those milestone points in my life where it was sort of now or never in terms of getting out. So my mother passed away after a short illness in 2012, and it was one of those things, situations where I went back to work, and I just couldn't do it. I was like, what am I doing here? You know, after everything what's happened, I can't carry on doing a job that I'm not suited for and I don't enjoy. So that day I went back to work, I drafted my resignation letter and quit, basically. Now, pretty stupid on the face of it because I had no income or job to go into. And the only experience I had was property. I had 3 buy-to-lets by that point, but obviously you're not going to live off 3 buy-to-let properties. You know, you might make 150 quid a month per one, so 450 quid a month ain't going to go very far, is it? So I decided, right, well, I'll start my own business. So I started Trinity Lettings at the time, which was an online estate agent. Now, a few people in the room I know have had a go at being an online estate agent. It's not an easy job at all. It might seem quite glamorous, but for anybody who's involved in online anything, typically price is the big differentiator. So I was doing a lot of work for not very much money, and although it was more rewarding, I wasn't making a vast amount of money. But the value I was getting was the contacts I was making and what I was learning. So anyway, fast forward a bit. We got the estate agency going. The big turning point really was when we went from an online business to a traditional office-based business, and that was the turning point because we could charge more. People from the local area wanted to use you and all that sort of thing, and it made the difference. And that came about through me being involved in property, not me being a good business person. I bought a commercial unit, which we carved up into 2 smaller commercial units and 3 flats above to cover the costs. And the aim was all those costs would offset the little office space which I wanted for my business, so I'd be there for free. And the idea behind it was, well, if I can't make a go of it, if I'm there for free, we might as well give up. But anyway, luckily, it got going, and we started making money. And in the last 3 years, it's grown quite substantially. And now we're an established estate agent in the Wakefield area, doing quite a bit of business. And that, like I say, that was my first commercial conversion deal in 2013. And this is now my main strategy. This is what I spend most of my time doing now. And I didn't even know it. I didn't even know I was doing a commercial conversion deal. But like I say, property is about a journey. And through doing all these things on the journey, you meet people who lead you into other opportunities and other deals. And as the deals start rolling, things get easier and the money starts coming in. So now I'd class myself as a full-time property entrepreneur. My personal portfolio is now worth a little over 2 million, and there's 1.1 million equity in it, so it's about 50%, which is a nice place to be if anybody can get there, because where we're at the moment, we can now look at hunting funds and stuff like that, which is quite cool, where you can basically call up the bank and go, I found a building for £300,000, I want to buy it, and literally they release the funds that day. So it's a good position to get at. I know a lot of people teach, you want to be leveraged as high as possible. If you're leveraged as high as possible and an opportunity comes along, you've got nothing to play with, have you? So it's quite nice if you can get to that type of level. Like I said, from getting involved in the commercial conversion stuff, I'm now a joint director at Tricore Developments, and we do commercial conversions, and we also do contracting work as well in the Yorkshire area. And like I said, it's my main strategy now, doing bigger commercial conversion deals, really. And inside that business, the buildings are worth about £950,000. Excuse me. When those buildings come to fruition, they're worth more, or when we sell, we've got more money in the account. So it really is on the, it's about starting small and growing, basically. So just enjoy the journey. So getting back to the nuts and bolts of what we're here for, really. Talk a bit about the mindset for successful deal negotiation. So, big learning point is a negotiation can only be successful when it's win-win for buyer and seller. Now, a lot of people, when they go into a negotiation, they think about one person, me. What's in it for me? What can I get? Doesn't usually work very well like that if that's solely what you're thinking. You need to put yourself in the position of the other party in the negotiation, and by doing that, you can come to an arrangement a lot easier, and there's a lot less friction as well, because the other party, if they realise you're clearly in it solely for yourself, then starts putting up barriers, and it becomes more difficult. It's about needs, not wants. So how to best describe this is, if you're trying to buy a house and you're negotiating with the seller, and you're going through the agent, and they say, the seller wants £140,000 for it. Now, the seller wants £140,000. They might not need £140,000. What they might need, for example, it might be a terrace house with an old woman who lives in it, and she needs a house which is on the ground floor because her legs have given up on her. You've got to think outside the box, and then all of a sudden, it's not about money at all. It's about the need of that person to be in a different property which is suitable for their needs. So just try and think like that when you're in a negotiation, and this is how you can open up opportunities which can be which are there, but you might not spot because you're closed-minded and thinking solely about price. You need to enjoy the process. The reason I say that is because some negotiations can take a long, long time and be very tiring. We've got one commercial deal which we've negotiated for over a year, and at that point you want the deal done because you've been doing it for a year. You've got to learn to enjoy it because otherwise it'll grind you down basically. Don't think of it as a battle. Like I said, it's supposed to be a win-win scenario. So if you're going in there thinking solely about you, it is a battle because you're not thinking about the other side. And then one key point I want people to take away is that some negotiations will never be successful. People spend lots and lots of time wasted trying to get a deal done which is never going to be a deal. For instance, we deal with it all the time in the estate agency. Let's say seller needs to sell their house for £90,000, no budge whatsoever. The house might not be worth £90,000. The house might be worth £80,000, £85,000, but the seller needs 90. Now, if you come to me trying to buy that house and going, but it's worth 80, and here's the comparables and all this sort of thing, don't care, because it doesn't matter what you think what it's worth or what it actually is worth. It matters what the seller thinks it's worth. And in those scenarios, there's never going to be a deal done unless the seller's circumstances change. You're wasting your time saying, it's worth this, why can't they see it's worth less? So, if you don't know that, hopefully they take that as a big learning point from today. Negotiators are born, not made. Well, that's clearly a load of rubbish. We're born with no skills, basically, and you learn them as you go along. So everything is learnable. When I started out buying properties, I was doing it wrong. I was talking to estate agents like they were working for me. They're not working for me. And you might talk to them like they're beneath you or whatever. Don't work very well. I learnt this from experience, so all this stuff's learnable. You've got to be an aggressive negotiator to get on. Well, there are examples of aggressive negotiators, your Donald Trumps, your Mike Ashleys, who have done very well out of it. They're probably the exception that disproves the rule, really, and they become quite famous because of them being aggressive. But you don't have to be an aggressive negotiator to get, really successful deals over the line. If you think about it, if you're an aggressive negotiator, you'll probably turn more people off than you will turn them on in terms of getting things done. Negotiation involves telling lies to get your own way. Now, I don't tell lies. It comes out and bites you in the arse typically, and you'll realise that if you do tell a white lie or something during a negotiation, it comes out, all trust and confidence goes instantly. You might as well just walk away if you do that, and it's not worth the reputational damage, frankly. So I'd strongly advise not getting involved in telling mistruths and whatnot, just to try and turn things your way in a negotiation. Nice people end up last. Not true. If you're a bit too weak, yeah, you can get taken advantage of, and there are people out there who'll happily take advantage of people who are a bit weak. But you know, you can be a nice person and a good negotiator. It's a myth that you have to be aggressive. And as I tried to make a point earlier, the deal is in the property. No, it's not. The deal is in the person. So this is a big thing that people can't get their head around. They're looking for distressed properties. They're looking for, they're solely looking at the property and then going, right, what can I do? There's a deal there. What you should be doing is, can I find the seller who needs the deal rather than the property? And then the property comes after the seller in terms of the order of importance. All right, so dates for your diary, everybody. 26th of January 2018. I'm doing a course here at Netherhall. It's a Friday. Basically, we'll be going through what I've done here in a lot more detail for you and giving you some real valuable tools that you can use when you're going out there negotiating. So, I'll teach you how to negotiate properly with residential estate agents. Being a residential estate agent, I know the people who do it badly, and I'll tell you what the things they say, do, etc., and the people who get the best deals from me and what they say, do, etc. And I'll teach you how to do that. Commercial agents. I've done lots of deals with commercial agents, and like I said, if you deal with a commercial agent the same as you would a residential one, you won't get the deals because they'll think you're a bit of a wally. I'll teach you how to talk to a commercial agent so they think, even if you don't have commercial properties and have bought commercial properties before, this person knows what they're talking about. This person isn't a time waster. And the key thing for all this is making sure you don't get put in the bin. And I'll make sure that doesn't happen. And the last one's direct to vendor. Like I say, it's a different way of talking to people, and I'll teach you the techniques in order to speak to vendors to get the deals as well. It's a system, like I say. It's a system which is easily learnable and can help you negotiate thousands of extra pounds off every deal you do in the future. Now, you might be doing an all right job at the moment, but let's say you've negotiated £5,000 off a deal. Wouldn't it be better if you could negotiate 8 if it was there, and that's plausible? Make yourself an extra 3 by just doing a few more words. I think it's a no-brainer personally. So what you'll get from, if you come on the course, you'll get our deal negotiation blueprint. What this is it's a tool that tells you what to use to secure the best deal. So if you're in a negotiation and it's not working out by your standard route, so the standard route's typically, I'm approaching you to buy this. Now, if it's not going to work for whatever reason, this blueprint tells you, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this? And you can turn a no-deal situation into a deal situation, which, you know, opens up doors which you don't have if you don't know that sort of thing. So the things it'll tell you is where to use a purchase lease option, a lease option, a subject to planning deal, a rent-to-rent scenario, or a package deal, or, like I said earlier, key one, walk away. Don't waste your time on the stuff where there's never going to be a deal done. You'll also get our phone scripts. So these are really valuable, and I've heard people say it's the best thing about it, really, because basically it gives you a phone script to use on residential estate agents, commercial agents, and even direct to vendor, to basically make sure you don't end up in the bin and get treated as credible. And like I say, commercial agents and residential agents are different, so you need to ask different questions, you need to phrase things differently, and these scripts will help you do that. And for direct to vendor deals, you're probably not going to be the only person who's approached that vendor to buy their property direct. There's going to be others sniffing around. So I'll help you become the person they want to do the deal with, rather than the others who are circling the vultures. So what you'll get the one-day intensive course. The blueprint, the phone script when talking to agents, and it's all for just $9.95. And there's also a 100% money back guarantee, which basically, if you come on the course and by lunchtime it's not for you, you haven't got the value out of it, we'll give you your money back. As simple as that. I'm not doing it to make money as such, because I'm doing it to share the experience and whatnot, and if you're not getting the value out of it, I'm happy to give you your money back. That's fine by me. So here's an example of another deal we've done recently, a bigger commercial deal. This is a subject to planning deal. So we negotiated that, this is in Wakefield again, we negotiated this for £190,000 purchase, and the interesting thing about this is a lesson about sniff out the opportunities other people don't think of. So this was for sale, leasehold. And for people who don't know the difference between leasehold and freehold, there's no point buying a leasehold property to convert unless you know with certainty you've got the ability to convert. Now, in this scenario, we had to buy the freehold realistically to turn this into a deal. But by asking the agent, do you have the freeholder's details? Do you reckon they're interested in selling? We managed to tie the two together and then turn a deal into a deal which nobody else could have done. So we agreed this for 190,000, and when we've completed the renovations, it'll be worth 1.5 million. It's going to be a block of apartments. So just going through a bit more detail on this one. The purchase is subject to planning, £190,000. And the value of subject to planning is, if it don't get planning, you don't have to buy it. So you might put down your 10%, 19,000. If it doesn't get planning permission, you don't have to buy it, and you get your money back. Now you'll have wasted a bit of money in fees and whatnot, but that's opportunity cost, and that's the nature of the beast. But it takes all the risk out of it. If you get planning permission, you make money on day one. Value is 350,000 as soon as it's gained the planning permission. So you've made £160,000 the day you buy it. Who wants a piece of that? Yeah. The renovation costs are 990,000, so broadly $1 million. And the NGDV, like I said, is 1.5. So on that deal, we're making 510,000 when we're done. So again, who wants to get some deals like that? Cool. Right, so I'm doing a special SSOPS offer because George strong-armed me. I don't really like doing things for less in general, but hey-ho. So yeah, he drove a hard bargain. So I'm doing the one-day course. I was still doing the blueprints, the foam script, and as an extra bonus, I'm throwing in the 1 year's access to the estate agent's comparable tool we use. Now, for those of you who don't know, if you're going out there to do comparables for a property, you'll probably use sold prices. You'll probably look on Rightmove and see what's for sale and all that sort of stuff. It takes you ages because you're having to go, pull it all together. Us estate agents, we've got a tool which can churn out all the comparables, and not only that, the value, the properties which came to the market and didn't sell and then got pulled. So we can show you them as well. And that's where you can work out that's too much, whereas you can't see that on Rightmove. So it's a really, really valuable tool. You can't buy it. It's just for us agents. It's not for sale. No, it's not Wakefield specific. Nationwide. So I can find comparables on a property in Kent. I don't have a clue about Kent, but I could do the comparables on it easy. And I'll still give you the 100% money back guarantee. So a bit more about this tool. Like I've said, it's the tool all estate agents use to value a property. It'll save you hours and hours from analysing a deal. It'll give you detailed reports of comparables marketed and sold, and like I said, the properties which didn't go on to sell, which is probably the most valuable bit, to be honest. Most importantly, it'll save you days worth of time. So what's that? It's priceless, in my opinion, time. So we're doing the course, we're doing the deal negotiation blueprint. I'll give you the phone scripts, the comparable tool, which, if you're taking advantage of me and using that once every couple of weeks, how much value you're getting out of me there. And I'm doing it for 197, which is today's price only. Well, I say today, within the break. So if by the end of the break you're not taking up this offer, it's back to the standard price basically. And I'll keep the 100% money back guarantee just because I'm nice. So. That's me. We're going to go to a break now. So next steps, I advise you take up the offer because it's gone at the end of the break. And if you want my contact details, they're there, and you can talk to me in the break. Thank you.